Riding so fast, we are splattering insects. The Falcon attacks Big Boy Watts per kilo climbing. Chris shouts at people.
He's up!
Standard. We are going inside the elite group out of Gran Fondo. We're going to talk nutrition, training, tactics, equipment, everything. Let's do it.
The 2022 Barrel Classic is underway!
Hell yeah, it is, Lee. We are underway. For those of you interstate, for those of you abroad, this is where we are. We are in Barrel doing the Barrel Classic. It's actually not too far from where the World Championships was held. That was just to the right there, nearer the coast. But this is the course today, guys. 150 Ks, real grippy roads. As you can see, just up, down, up, down, up, down the whole way. Never off the pedals. Super rough roads. Let's get into it.
Oh, yes! Very well, yourself?
So as I have a little natter there, this is what we're going to do today. I want to start by just going through with the race, how it unfolded, how I ended up in that front group. I think you guys will be really interested by that. Then we're going to do some equipment chat, the choices that I made, the stuff that I'm using and why I did that. I had a good ride today, so I want to talk a little bit about my training for this, how I prepared. Then we're going to do some nutrition, how I actually fed and fueled the race, and ultimately some learnings maybe going forward. One learning is those bib shorts in front, quite questionable. That's all I'm going to say. Right, so let's start with how the race unfolded. I know some of you guys are interested in this and how it breaks down, how the front group gets away. And a lot of you will be familiar with this look. This is how a lot of these Fondos start, isn't it? You're just sort of tootling along. You're not even sure who's on the front or why they're on the front. But the reason these things break up is things like this. You've got some steep, hard hills. Now, no one's necessarily attacking up these hills. Guys are just riding really, really hard up them. And it causes, obviously, a bit of a natural selection. And then what you will find with a lot of the time with these front groups is we start rolling turns really quickly over the top. So anyone that was maybe tailed off just a little bit over those short, sharp climbs struggles to get back on because that front group moves away so quickly. Right, good morning. It's on. Hour and a half in. Gone over the first KOM. What was 40 people? Who we got? Oh, hang on, we got some additionals back there. I don't know where they come from. So the way this course works is because we're doing the longer version, you actually link back in with people doing shorter versions. So they sort of jump in with you. We are trucking along nicely at this stage. So to make this front group of 6, at this point, it hasn't been big overall numbers. I think I've only sort of normalised like 250 or something like that to this point, about an hour and a half in. There have been 2 major climbs though, 2 sort of short, sharp 4-minute efforts, both of which I had to do at about 400 watts to make this front group. But the proverbial shit is about to hit the fan. The normalised power of this event is about to go a long way up, and it's going to get really entertaining. So in the top left, guys, you can see we're about 3/4 of the way through the event now, which gives me a brief second to introduce you. This is a Chris Miller race vlog. Gives me a few seconds to introduce you to the characters involved in the finale. The first thing you will notice is the Red Guardian is on the front. The Red Guardian is a very, very solid rider. In fact, he's better than solid. Someone might have told me that he podiumed the New South Wales State Road Championships this year. The next up is the Winter Soldier. Do not underestimate the Winter Soldier. Comes from that part of the world. He's a mountain man. Potentially the fittest guy here. Next up, the Falcon. He is a killer. In fact, someone might have told me that he does know quite a bit about that World Championships course. Do not underestimate the Falcon. And finally,
I'm Groot.
The man, the log himself, has joined us. Ultimately, guys, what I need you to gather here is that poor old Chris is out of his depth again, but we've made it, we've got the camera rolling, and shit is about to hit the fan. Let's roll. Very much worth keeping an eye on the Falcon because he is about to launch. There he goes. He has launched on this little berg. There's a lot of this sort of stuff now over the next few kilometers. It looks like the Winter Soldier has gone with him. Now, Groot is doing Groot things. I'm in a dangerous position here, clearly. So I've got the Guardian with me. Groot's in front, and the 2 guys in front do seem to be kind of pulling away. Not only are they pulling away, it does look like Groot is starting to put a little bit of distance into the Guardian, and I'm going to pause it here because this is decision moment for Chris. Like, as you can kind of see, it's starting to crest. This little rise is cresting. We all know the power that Groot can put down. Oh man, did not see this. The Falcon has dropped from the soldier. Groot's bridging across to him. Now this has kind of thrown my thinking completely out the window, because the guy who's just launched the stinging attack has fallen back. So I'm now starting to think there's that little bit of doubt's obviously crept into my mind here, and it's like, well, you know, he's come back. Maybe they'll just like look around and go, stuff it. We've still got 60 Ks to go. You know, what's the point? I'm pushing on. Turns out that's not really the case. So Red Guardian comes through to do a turn, and you can see like it doesn't look like they're fully committing yet, but nor are we. And I'll be 100% honest with you here. So as I come through to do my turn, I am really concerned about the Falcon. He's a killer. As you saw on that attack that he did earlier, like, he's ruthless. So I'm worried now that he's going to sit on us. We're going to get him just close enough, and he's going to jump across. Like, that's a pretty fair tactic. So as you can see, like, I'm not really committing to this turn, and we're just sort of holding them now, aren't we? It's like not neither or. Now my concerns have sort of just been backed up. Watch this. So the Falcon backed me out. I wanted him to come in. He didn't want to come in. He just sat on my wheel, sat on my wheel, sat on my wheel. So now I am fully in on he's going to jump us, right? And this is, spoiler alert, it's kind of death of Red Guardian and I getting across. So a couple more turns later, he is sitting on. I mean, at this point, I just needed to get over it. I mean, you know, this all comes under the caveat if I had legs to do more. But I can 100% remember myself thinking that, like, he's going to jump us, and here we go. So, the Falcon, well, okay, I will let you decide for yourself. But we're going to come into another climb. As you can see, top right, we've got another draggy climb coming up. This is a big, fast, sharp left-hander at the bottom of this, and the Falcon's driving us into it. Look at this. He is absolutely smashing his way into the base of this. We're going to come up the top. We are going to smash past. Now, the reason you see people on the side is because there's people doing shorter events as well at the same time. So that's why you see that. Now, he's gone. The Falcon's gone. I'm like, oh, shit, I've got to get across. There's the other boys. Hang on.
Go, boys. Finish it off.
So it turns out he was trying to bridge us across. The Red Guardian's off my wheel at the moment, so I'm solo, okay? And I can see the boys. They're just up there. Now, many of you remember a day when I was teammates with Groot, and we would work sometimes together, and he would do nice things.
Up, yes!
And it was crossing my mind too. So yeah, I was questioning whether I should put this in, because it's a bit embarrassing, but here it is anyway. I've got one more in me.
He's up!
Yeah, Jesse's not easing up. Spoiler alert, those two boys will ride away for first and second fastest finishes on the day. Now, the Red Guardian has reappeared, thank God, because we've still got 55, 60 Ks to go, and I'm really happy with my ride so far. I'm absolutely stoked with my ride. I'd love to lock this down. This third, fourth finish would be fantastic. So the Red Guardian is on board with me, and we're going to try and do just that.
25k to go, Steve. We're climbing a stitch up, but no, we weren't good enough there. Steve and I are going to ride hard into the end and try and get a good finish now. This is the tough part of the course too. Fucking rough.
So as we hit the third to last climb, I really want to talk about some of the training I did to prepare for this event, because I think some of this will surprise a lot of people, but also I really want to stress how this has changed my own riding. I mean, I will touch on this in a standalone vlog at some point, but there are no two ways about it. I had hit a massive, plateau is not even the right word, downswing, but this has changed it. So let's dive into today's plan. This is the software that Neuro coaches use. This is the overall ride from Barrel Classic and how that played out, the overall numbers from that, but I'm not going to dive into that just now. What I want to do is go a couple of weeks prior to that and dive into like a classic session a classic session I was doing to prepare for this. So this is a Ronstedt interval type thing, and you'll see here that this is efforts of 130% of threshold, with then essentially freewheeling in between. But I think what you'd be really surprised by is the actual interval style. It's those short, sharp stuff. So in this particular occasion, I think it was 30 seconds on, but really only 15 seconds off. So very short gaps of them, 15 sets of them, and 3 sets of the different 15 sessions. Now, again, another session that I'd been using quite consistently is a mixed VO2 stuff. So again, this was, I think this was sort of 4-minute efforts or 3-4-minute efforts, and then after that, some of those Ronstedt stuff. So again, the much higher stuff, this was like 170% of threshold, but after the VO2 things. And the reason I'm showing you this, guys, is not to go out and copy these sessions or anything like that. Obviously, the idea of anything you're doing with a coach is to be very, very tailored to your own attributes and also your own mentality. And one of the things that we discovered with me is that I hate doing longer threshold efforts because I just bail on them. So let's work on doing threshold efforts, but by making them more entertaining by using shorter, sharper efforts. And that has been a bit of a trade-off for me. Okay, that is enough training chat for now. Let's talk some equipment. Now, as we are about to hit one of the nastier...
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yes, we all forgot about that. And the nastier stink walls, as I like to refer to them as, around here. I want to talk a little bit about the bike, the equipment. So I am riding a Factor Ostro VAM. And the reason that I chose, and I did choose, to ride that bike on this day is actually shown pretty much right here. And the pros of this bike and the cons of this bike are kind of shown in these 2 kilometers. Because, okay, it is the lightest disc brake bike I have ridden, and there's a lot of climbing on this particular day. I wanted to maximize that. I'm not going to pretend that I did anything else. Now, the gearing that I had on this was the mid-compact gearing, so the 52-36 gearing, and yeah, it served the purpose of these short, sharp climbs really well. And at my weight, 62, 63 kilos, like, I'm quite happy. I like to maximize that. But, okay, and there is a but with this bike, because there is a trade-off, and you're about to see that trade-off. These roads, look at these roads that I'm riding on, and I can tell you right now, this bike is not comfortable over this. I mean, I'm not sure any bike is going to be. No, that's not true. That's not true. The Chapter 2 would have ridden more comfortably over these roads. Now, I was all about performance on this day, and I was going to suck that up, and you know, you're going to deal with it. But here's another great stretch of Southern Highlands roads where it is actually a performance disadvantage, because I'm being battered around on this. I need to stress, and this is really, really important. It's anytime I do the bike stuff, the bike reviews, I need to stress this. That's my interpretation of this, because I'm really a big believer in the fact that the way they sit on a bike, the way they put power out is all very, very different. So your impressions of it might be very different to mine. But for me, I was willing to make that quote-unquote sacrifice, and I felt overall it was the right sacrifice to make. This is probably as close as you're going to get to a bike review on this channel for this particular bike. I like it, alright? I think it's kind of cool.
This is Gibraltar, right?
Yes, Chris, this is Gibraltar. This is the final climb. As you can kind of see top left, we're in the final echelons of the event, final 6K climb. But it's going to give us a chance to talk about my fueling strategy for the event, the 4-hour event. Now, the first thing you guys need to know is that we don't stop. Okay, in the front group, you do not stop. So you have to carry everything and you have to manage what you carry for that event, because there is no stopping, there's no water stops, anything like that. Well, there are stops, but we don't use them. So that's the first thing you need to know. What did I actually take on board throughout the event? I kept it very simple. I used essentially the things that I use in training. So in my 2 750ml water bottles, I carried only 60 grams of carbs in each of Staminade. And the reason I say only is just purely down to flavor. I find that if I put more than the 60 of the Staminade in, it just rips my guts apart. It's too much. So what I rely on then is beta fuel to fill in the gaps. It's it's a bit of a dream substance, this, for me. It can get me back over the required amount. So I had 5 of those throughout the event, 5 Science and Sport beta fuels, and half a pack of party mix, natural confectionery party mix. That's really, it's good carb bang for your buck, but it's also just a flavour change, and that's the biggest thing for me. I find it's almost like a treat. Sometimes in the past I'd run like a savoury treat or something like that, but the reality is these days I'm just getting in what I want to get in. I'm not needing something to try and enjoy to kind of get me through. So that's what I ate and drunk throughout the event. Look, I tried a couple of like seated squeezes to get rid of him. He was, I think, probably as strong as I was up the climb, and in the end we've both kind of come across the thing together. So we're about a minute or 2 behind Groot and the Winter Soldier, and cresting out the summit now, coming back down into the finish. So at this point, this is probably worth mentioning, like in a Fondo like this, where you are finishing in a town, in like a thing like this, you are now really kind of, especially when you're with someone like this, you're going to ride it in together. You're not going to kind of try and sprint them in the town centre as the kids are pushing a tricycle across the finishing line. So that's kind of how that's going to play out.
So hopefully we got that KOM on camera. That was savage. Nice work, mate. So riding it in. Any thoughts?
Pretty good that we didn't make the break, but apart from that, alright, solid day. Can't complain.
Yeah.
Nice weather.
A little bit more than a solid day for me. That was pretty fucking good. That is deep.
Faster than last year.
Is it?
8 per hour.
Yeah, nice. Well, that was a really good group we had over the climb.
Yeah.
Like, epic group. Yeah.
Oh, here they are. I can see it. Chris Miller coming through 3rd place. Well done, boys. Look at it. That's how you salute, ladies and gentlemen. That is how you do it across the line.
So crossing the line 3rd and 4th with Steve was an outstanding result for myself. I mean, it was interesting there talking to Steve towards the end. You could say he was obviously had higher ambitions, but I didn't. Like, that's, for me, I'm absolutely delighted with the way that played out. As far as learnings go, guys, really the only thing that I was particularly quite keen to share with you is this is the DJI Osmo Action 3. It's the first time I'd actually run it as a vlogging camera, and I think it's an absolute win. So the massive advantage with this is it's easy to clip on and off from the bike, which gave me the opportunity to sort of pull it out and talk to you a little bit. And the battery life was crazy. I got like 2.5 hours of just pure 1080p running the whole time. I'd never get that on a GoPro, so I'm absolutely stoked with that. Only downside with this particular device is there's no GPS, so ultimately you'll see with the telemetry and everything, I had to manually actually sync that afterwards. With the GoPro, you do have the GPS, which gives you the opportunity then to just upload it straight away with the telemetry. The only other low light, really, was giving Jesse Coyle a camera. Jesse managed 6 3-minute clips of this. So personally, I would think he should be removed, disqualified from the event as a total. He's meant to be a YouTuber, right? Look at this. Rubbish.
Oh, hooray!
And a quick summary just on the event. Yeah, the road surface is pretty tough. I mean, this part of the world's copped so much rubbish from rain and everything recently that is the only low light is the road surface. The actual course itself, he's nailed it. It's absolutely perfect. I would super recommend doing this. Even if you're not from New South Wales, 100% put it on your bucket list. Come and do this event. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Share this on to all your mates who did this event. I'll link some more race vlogs down below, and I'll see you real soon.